Stakeholders, industry players, policymakers, and regulators today gathered at the Maiden Lagos Fintech Week Summit discussing the theme Fintech, Exploring the Huge Opportunities. In his opening remarks, the chairman of the Lagos Fintech Committee, Dr. Yele Okeremi, described the event as a platform for promoting innovation in Nigeria.
This program is to celebrate creativity, capability, and resilience of the young Nigerian. It's a program to showcase innovation in the financial technology space. And that's what we call fintech. And it is delivered by Nigerians for Nigeria. And not only Nigerians, but also to show that indeed Nigeria has solutions to the challenges of the world.
Representatives of key regulatory agencies gave their remarks at the event.
These are interesting times, and the flurry of innovation the 21st century had mind-blowing transformational effect on the financial services sector. It is therefore essential that we sustain the engagement among stakeholders to ensure steady development of fintechs who are defining the frontiers of innovation in the financial system.
We're talking about fintech today. We're talking about fintech here today. Fintech cannot do anything, with due respect, without internet, without broadband. The major enabler for fintech is broadband. It is internet. And even if you look at the World Bank report, I'm glad that the director CBN is here. If you look at the World Bank report as of today, World Bank says that a 10% increase in broadband penetration will lead to 1.38% of GDP per capita. And what are we waiting for in this country as a nation? And I'm glad that the special assistant to the president is seated here. I think that is an area where we have to actually look at in this era of oil dwindling. All we need to do is just to attain 20, 30 more percent of broadband penetration, which will lead to around 4.5% increase in GDP per capita, in Africa, in Nigeria.
Despite our desire to run along with this fast-paced technology, the Commission solicits the support of the fintech community to achieve our desired outcome. We solicit your support by endearing innovators in this field to ensure the following: identification of challenges in the capital market and development of innovations to tackle this challenge. One of these challenges in the capital market is how do we reach the investors? How do we reach the mass of population that we have? How do we deepen the market via fintech solutions? And how do we help companies, small-scale industries, to be able to raise capital, which is the major need that they have in order for them to grow? What do we need to do with fintech? How does fintech help them? How do we also educate the Nigerian students, the young ones and the youths, about fintech and using fintech as a way of encouraging them into coming into the Nigerian capital market? How do we use fintech also to encourage them to save money? Because without enough savings, you cannot actually do enough investment. So what will fintech do in this space? These are the things we hope that the fintech community will be looking at in order to help build a stronger and viral capital market. Moving beyond experimentation, a number of innovations in the capital market are yet to reach the go-live stage. We expect innovators to move beyond the experimentation stage and introduce products which could be deployed to the market. Interface with the regulators. In developing their products and innovations, the Commission remains willing and ready to constantly interface with innovators. The interaction will improve capacity and make available adequate resources that will ensure the deployment of innovations that will satisfy the interests of all stakeholders.
The Senior Special Assistant to the President on ICT, Mr. Lanre Oshibano, reiterated the commitment of the federal government in supporting the successful scaling and growth of fintech in Nigeria.
Digital financial services is a critical pillar of a robust digital economy. We are determined to bring affordable digital financial services to the many that are today currently unbanked or underbanked. We embarked on the rollout of digital identity to register all Nigerians and legal residents with a digital ID, the National Identity Number that we call NIN. For those that registered, you can verify your NIN by typing *346# from your registered phone numbers. Let me use this opportunity to just say that the days of a card, those days are gone. You can verify your NIN just by typing *346. We inherited less than 5 million records on assumption of office about 4 years ago, and have grown those to over 37 million records. While this might not be as great an increase as one would have liked it to be, however, we have used the opportunity to put in place a number of good initiatives. We've developed and received FEC approval, the Federal Executive Council approval of the strategic roadmap for harmonization of all silo identity agencies. We have developed a data protection and privacy bill to ensure that to ensure trust between the government and citizens. We expect to have set up an independent data protection agency. This is currently in the National Assembly for final adoption before being signed into law. In addition, we're developing a robust cybersecurity framework following the outcome of the cybersecurity assessment initiative that was conducted a few months back. We have upgraded the National Identity Management Commission, called NIMC, technology in order to scale the numbers of records it can hold. We will be working with a number of the stakeholders, including the private sector, to develop strategy for e-commerce in the digital economy. We cannot afford to lose out on leveraging the opportunities that the digital economy will bring as part of the fourth industrial revolution. We must work together in developing policies and regulations that will address those challenges of data sovereignty, data ownership, and commercialization of data. We cannot be defensive in our approach, as no one can hold down the pace of development. You can delay it, but you cannot stop it. Rather, we must be more proactive in ensuring we prepare for the opportunities that the future will present to us.
Dr. Yele Okeremi speaks further on the event.
Making Lagos the fintech capital of Africa is not a big deal at all. What does it really take to be fintech capital? It's about innovation. And when we talk about innovation, it's about capacity to think. So clearly we do have the capacity to think. It's about grey matter. And looking at our population, it makes it significant. But I think we have challenges. And the biggest challenge we can talk about is market access. How big is our economy or in its own self? But in terms of whether we are creative people, whether we have capacity to do things that people are looking forward to, there's absolutely no doubt about that. So, and if you take a look at the landscape in Africa, we are very, very well positioned. Even in terms of the little economy I spoke about, we still remain perhaps the largest economy, maybe second only to South Africa. But when you look at combining that with our population, it definitely does put us at a very good position.
You've had today government players, you've had regulators, you had key players in the fintech ecosystem come to discuss and look at how fintech's industry can grow in Nigeria. What are your key takeaways from the issues from regulation to infrastructure to enabling environment? What for you has been a major key takeaway from this opening session?
Yes, and I think this is really great. I don't know very many fora where these three people have sat together, at least in recent times, where you have government, you have regulators, you have players. So what happens? You see, I talk about this with a lot of passion. When people talk about regulators, what's the job of a regulator? A regulator gets delight or gets compensated by telling you what you cannot do. And so regulators want to say you can't do that. But innovators get their own glory and get their own reward by stretching the boundaries. And so you see, you have a kind of tension between the regulators on one hand and the innovators on another hand. And so that is why you have governments in between who are supposed to be stimulators and developers, whose overriding interest is in achieving growth in a legitimate society. And so government has a responsibility of encouraging innovation in such a manner that guarantees the safety and the security of society. And this is the kind of delicate thing that happens. So when you get to see overregulated societies, when you have overregulated societies, that's very bad because then it constrains innovations. But when you also have over-innovative societies, then that also becomes a challenge because then there are possibilities that the polity may become overheated and people may lose out. And so the duty of government is to be a thermostat. So when it is too cold, they kick in to bring some heat. When it is too warm, they kick in to cool the environment.
And finally, what's the outlook for the fintech industry in Nigeria? Where do you see it in the next 2-3 years in terms of driving our economy? Note that economists just said now that we're having issues with poverty, we're having issues with lack of economic opportunities, we're not growing as we ought to. How will fintech help to transform the economy?
So I'll tell you what I see. So today, if you look at fintech today, generally speaking, fintech seems to be centric. I don't want to say overly, but very centric on payment systems. And so pretty much many players are just interested in delivering funds and stuff like that. But there's a whole lot more value that can catalyze and enhance fintech. And that is actually bringing technology to the business areas themselves. So my idea is that what we are seeing today, people following the money, that's what they are seeing. They are looking at just the last mile. I see people realizing that that space may become crowded, going further upstream to see how they can create value for businesses, so that you would then see more congruence or confluence of fintech and operational technologies in various aspects of the economy.
Nigeria's fintech industry has been described as a critical segment that can deploy innovation to address issues like financial inclusion and increased economic activities in the country. Collaboration by all stakeholders in the ecosystem will be vital in turning fintech as a tool for achieving prosperity for Africa's most populous nation.